I am Geetika. I'm at VAWA, and I'm super, super excited to welcome you all today for VAWA's Moroccan on Geometry online exhibition. We have a lot of you who are very new to what VAWA is and what we've been doing. So a little bit about VAWA. We are a website.
I don't know how you do this. Mine just comes on.
Sorry for a little break. If you guys could mute yourself, that would be wonderful. Yep, I think we're all muted. We're good to go. So VAWA is a website to book mini apprenticeships with master artists and craftspeople all around the world. So you can visit them in their studio and spend about a week with them learning their craft hands-on and spend one-on-one time with them. I am still hearing some people, so if you guys could please mute yourself, that would be wonderful. During these times, since April, we have been hosting online sessions with these amazing VAWA artists from around the world. We meet every weekend. We meet for a couple of hours. We spend time learning from them. We kind of travel to their studios, wherever they are and whatever part of the world they are in. And they teach us, they let us into their amazing minds and their craft. And it's been a fantastic time. And one of the art forms and the artists we've been learning from is Hamza, who is a multidisciplinary traditional craftsman based in Fez, Morocco. And he practices so many crafts. He does brass engravings. He's a geometer. He's an Andalusian oud musician. He's a paper maker, just way too many things. And he has been teaching us how to do Moroccan geometry. For the last 5 weeks, we had 19 participants from around the world who met every Sunday for 2 hours to learn from him. And this exhibition today is showcasing works from 9 participants. There was a competition as part of this exhibition. Everyone was given a challenge to create a pattern of their choice using the skills they have learned. So none of us except me, has seen these patterns. So all of us are going to be seeing it for the first time. And we have a special, very, very special guest today, Hamza's father. He is the head of the Brass Guild in Fez, and he has been practicing this craft for 60 years. He will be picking the winner today. So at the end of it, we'll see who wins. Well, everyone is a winner, but I think it's special when a true master, the original OG master, picks the winner. He will also be giving us some comments on each of these patterns. Also, some participants might be interested in selling their artwork. So if you are, just put it in chat and we can send more information about that. All the participants, if you guys are listening to this, if you're interested in selling your artwork, just like when you come up, just let everyone know that it's up for grabs. Although with the amount of work that was that went in, I doubt anyone's going to want to sell it. It's a private collection. All right, so a quick announcement. We will be hosting 2 new series on Moroccan geometry starting next week. There's one for beginners and intermediate, and there's one for advanced. So we'll put the link in chat. So if anyone's interested, you can also sign up for those. But for today, we'll get started with this exhibition. First, we'll have Hamza introduce us to himself, his father, and Moroccan geometry. Then we'll look at the works, and then there'll also be time for Q&A in the end. So without further ado, passing it over to Hamza.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Right, yeah, so thank you very much for coming. Very pleased today on the screen. My father is here. He's actually in both screens. Yeah, my name is Hamza. I am from Fez, and I've been apprenticing under my father for the last 7 years-ish. And And I've been learning from him how to construct geometric patterns, apply them on brass sheets, and how to engrave them. And in the meantime, I was always getting the information fresh from the bakery. I would pass it on in my workshops. And when the lockdown came, I couldn't do any more workshops. So I shifted to online courses with VAWAA, and it's been very interesting. I had a wonderful time with excellent participants from all over the globe. And in the last series, what I tried to do is, when the lockdown happened, so many shops closed. And I just quickly went on and I took photos of patterns that all of a sudden unfolded themselves. And I tried to deconstruct them, work with my father and other masters, ask them how to do it. And I worked out a method and I tried to simplify it. And I did it with, I think it was 12 participants, and it was just wonderful. Wonderful experience. Even for me, I learned in the process. I'm always learning, I'm not a master. Yeah, and this is my father. I'll just say quickly who he is and everything. We don't need to translate because I kind of know. Yeah, my father is called Mokhtar, and he's been practicing since 1968. That's when he became a master, but he learned when he, I think 1950, I think 58 when he became a proper apprentice, I would say, although he started way before that. And yeah, he's been, he had a business called Dar Temenia, the House of Eight. And he had three elements in the business. He would train the apprentices, he would produce and sell. And training the apprentices had to stop in '97 after a convention signed by UNICEF. And since then, I have been his sole apprentice, actually just since 2011. Yeah, and he's my master, and I won't say that all the patterns I know came directly from him. He gave me all the basic necessary understanding of geometric patterns that I could carry on with. And by the way, he's the head of the guild, as Gitika said, of the brassmiths. He's the head of the guild since 1993, which is actually the longest period for a head of a guild. Normally, they change them every few years. By the way, the funny thing is, for my father, is he's been a wrestler.
Champion du Maroc, 71.
In 71,
Junior.
he was a junior champion of Morocco in wrestling. He did Greek-Roman wrestling.
That's awesome.
He was a judge. He traveled all over the world, knocking off every nationality. It was just funny. He's been a wrestler and a craftsman a long time ago. Yeah. I'll find some photos of him doing some weightlifting and I'll send them. Right, I think that's it. We'll pass it on to you, Gitika.
All right. Thank you. That was so lovely. And again, it is such an honor for us to have you today joining us and looking at all the works that all the participants have been doing. It's truly, truly an honor. This is what we stand for, this passing of knowledge from the masters to the future generation. And the fact that we are able to do that from your mind to Hamza's mind to us is just such an honor. So thank you again. Without further ado, let's get started. I will be sharing slides with the participants' work. And the first participant who is gonna go is Purva. So Purva, are you ready? Purva, are you there?
I'm here, I'm ready. Sorry, distracted.
Nope, all good, all good. So let's do this. So Purva, do you want to speak a few words first, or do you want to share, do you want me to share your pattern first?
Oh, I'm happy to talk. Thank you for letting me open this finale exhibition for this series. I can't remember how many I've done now. I think there were 2 workshops and then 1 series of 5 classes and then another series of 5 classes with Hamza. So first of all, Hamza, thank you. Thank you for being an integral part of my weekends. I will remember the 2020 lockdown as the Moroccan geometry year. So thank you for that. It's been quite the evolution. It's been great to have something to focus on. And it's been a wonderful way to check the box of my obsessive compulsive disorder side of myself, where, you know, meticulously trying to focus on something and getting it done. So thank you for that. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Well, so looking at your pattern, slideshows are always wonderful.
So while you're setting that up, I worked on the 12 pointed star tessellation. And there it is. And while you're looking at it, to get a sense of scale, I have it with me as well.
Wow, that's huge, Purva.
Yeah, it's huge. It's 3 feet by 2 feet, so it's really large. And it was a lot of fun to color. I lost my patience at a few points in time and threw it away, but then I got back to it.
And this is a little detail, as you guys can see, of all the construction lines, all the details that go into it.
So thank you for the opportunity to show that.
Yeah. Any comments from Hamza and the team?
Purva, can you explain how how your pattern worked? I mean, was it a central circle, and how were the other circles arranged around it for each pattern?
So in order to make it fit neatly with the border line, I couldn't start with the center. I first had to figure out how I'm going to divide the entire piece, because it wasn't like I was starting with something and expanding out. I wanted it to fit neatly within the frame, like the canvas that I have, because it's a mounted canvas. And so I measured out the dimensions and then decided to divide it exactly into a certain number of squares. So that was the starting point, figuring out the squares, and then making the flower within each square so that at the end of the day, it would look like a piece that fit within the framework of what I was working with. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Right, may I add something?
Yes, please.
I think what you've done is very excellent, because in the original class, you can see that the kandil is right on top in the middle. Yours looks like this.
Yes, so this is an error, to be honest. I realized afterwards that I should have rotated it by that one angle to make the kandils actually happen, because I don't have my little kandils. I've got a pattern that turned out, but it's too late by then. I had too many lines already to change it.
All right, what you've done is not a mistake, because here's an example. Here's what happens when you do it in that way. You can actually extend it and get the 5 pointed stars. Does that make sense?
Oh, I could have made these 5 pointed stars?
You could have, yeah. So when you rotate it,
it
it gives you the possibility of doing so.
Yeah,
But you've done
that
excellent.
was a missed opportunity.
I'll send you a photo of that, so perhaps you can work on that as well. But excellent work.
Thank you.
And looks like someone's interested in purchasing it. So we're noting the name and we'll send you details for that to Purva. There's also a question, what did you use to paint it?
So one of our classmates during the class, we talked about paint a lot, and I wish I could remember who it was, but I can go back on the Facebook group and look to see, talked about these pens that were also watercolors. And so once I got my hands on those, it was too easy to use those as opposed to trying to use actual watercolor. So I used the felt tip pens that paint like watercolor.
Gotcha. Great, thank you so much, Purva. We're going to move on to the next participant, and that's Mitch. Are you ready, Mitch?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Do I need to hold my my piece up?
You can do that a bit later, but first, if you want to speak a few words, and then I can pull your artwork right up here.
Sure. This is a pattern that has interested me for a long time. It's actually from a madrasa in Fez called the Atareen Madrasa, located near the Atareen souks. Atareen is, I think, the source of the English word attar, which is the essence of roses. And it's something that's sold in the nearby spice souks, which are also called the Atareen souks. It's the most complex design I think I've done in terms of the number of steps needed to complete it, and it's hard. These hexagonal tessellations are not like the squares that I've worked with before, because you actually have to overlap your circle slightly where they meet. Each of these hexagons is inscribed within a circle, and so you can see that the circles have to overlap. Anyway, there's some problems that I have with it, in that the green shapes tend to be kind of asymmetrical, or slightly asymmetrical, and I'm not sure exactly why that is. I wanted to be able to do this using the methods that we used in class, but I tried and failed miserably like 3 times. And so I ended up going to a book that I first bought about 1.5 years ago. And that book was the source of my interest in doing these geometries. And I'm convinced that there is a better way to do it than the way that I did it, but I'm happy with how it worked out. And I'd like to carve this design in wood, on a piece of wood that I've been sort of saving for a carving for a long time, just haven't figured out what to do with it. And so that will be my next project once we get through with the 3-week class.
Yes, one day.
It's taking up all my time.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, if you want to hold it so people can see how big the piece is. We can also see the patterns right behind you on the wall.
Yeah. This is, can you see, I can't, you see it?
Yes,
Okay,
that's gorgeous.
thank you. The paper must be some sort of a rag paper, and I've never used anything like it before. And so the ink went on really blotchy. So it's best viewed from a distance.
But we like that blotchy effect.
Well, it's an interesting effect. I'm not, at first I said, oh my God, the ink is just blotchy. And I said, well, maybe we can work with this. And so you just have to sort of be willing to go with where the materials want you to go.
Lovely. Well, there are some wonderful comments coming in chat, so do take a look at those.
I will.
I'm going to pass it to Hamza if he has comments.
All right, I'm just very much impressed because we did not study that pattern, and then you managed to do it, and it's just, I remember we had loads of chats about how we can do it. But wonderful, Mitch. I really like what you did. My father loved it. He thought it would be great on a piece of ceramic as well as wood.
Ah. Yes.
Yeah, but other than that, I think you've done very, very well. I'm quite surprised. It's very well, very well. Mizyan. Smakelijk, Mitch.
All right. Who is, any other words, Mitch, that you want to share before we move on to the next person?
No, I think that's about it. It's still a work in progress, and you know, it's I don't know whether I'm going to expand the footprint beyond what it is right now, or just fill in the rest of it. I feel like as long as I have expensive paper, I want to use up all that paper, so I'll probably keep that.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, thank you, Mitch. That was such a beautiful pattern, and we can't wait to see it engraved on on that precious piece of wood that you have. All right, next up is Maya. Maya, are you ready?
Sure.
All right. So Maya is from Berkeley, and this is her pattern. Go ahead, Maya.
Okay, hi. Some of you know I'm fresh out of the hospital, so I didn't do a big, beautiful one. Sorry. So I don't know how many sessions this is that I've done with Hamza and all of you, but it's a lot. And it's kind of been my saving something during the pandemic. And I just walk around showing people our work. What is the color medium? It is watercolor pencils, which I love. Just started playing with those. My mommy got them for me. The purple ones are supposedly, the purple one is supposedly shimmery, but I can't tell from here. But anyway, just anyone who looks like they might vaguely have an interest. I've just been proselytizing about this and trying to get them hooked and show off my work and sometimes other people's work. And it's just really sort of given me life because I have a problem with making work of my life, and I love having something else that's so engaging to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Maya. So amazing that you still decided to submit despite the crazy hospitalization that you had. So bravo for that.
Thank you.
Do you have it in front of you? Do you want to hold it up and show how big it is?
How small it is? Yes.
Or small it is. Small is beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, I think, Maya, first of all, I hope you're feeling much better today. And thank you for taking the efforts of still drawing after everything that happened. So very good, because I love the way you challenge yourself in this period to make the curve, because the curve is very, very complicated. You know that. And you have to step
on the best. You
love them, yeah, I'm sure you do. I don't think you're the sort of person who wants to go straight. I think you might.
Good call. You're muted.
Hamza, you went mute.
Oh, is that right now?
Yep.
Yeah, my father liked it. Because today I was working on it, I was engraving it on brass, the same pattern.
Oh, nice.
And he found it very interesting. So very well, very good, very good.
Anyone has any questions for Maya? All right, we'll keep moving. Thank you, Maya. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. It's nice to be able to actually speak.
Yes. All right, next participant is M. M from London. Are you there, M?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Hello.
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 There's so many people here.
Yes.
Slightly nerve-wracking.
All right. So this is M's pattern. Very experimental. Go for it, M.
Yeah, so I'll talk a bit about the course at the beginning and then I'll talk about this pattern. So I think I just really wanted to echo what everybody else has said about having something that's been so absorbing and something to take your mind off all the other chaos that is happening in the world. There's something very soothing about making a pattern out of things that when you're first drawing them on the paper, you don't really know that what you're creating is going to come out how you expect. And somebody asked earlier in the chat, do you need like mathematics to do all this spatial work? And it's not so much maths as having a good compass and being patient, which I'm not, being kind of slow and steady, and believing in yourself. When Mitch said, oh, I tried 3 times to do something and then I kind of jacked it in and went down a different path, I was like, oh good, because so did I, because I kept trying things and hating it and then not liking it, and then I wasn't going to submit, and then yesterday I thought, well, why don't I just make something that I would really like and not try and be so strict with myself about creating a really intricate pattern, because I don't have time and it's not my style, I guess, to be so restricted. So yeah, I just I did what I could with the pattern, and then where I wasn't as confident, I've used some kind of collage, and I wanted to do a sort of, it could be the 4, you know, seasons, like winter through autumn and everything. That, well, we have seasons in the UK. I'm aware that not everybody on this call will have such demarcated seasons, but also that really old idea of 4 elements, like water, air, earth, fire. I thought, okay, I can do that. I know that somewhere on Facebook, Hamza wrote something about tessellating. I'll just keep following that and do what I can. So that was kind of the idea behind it. And I do really like it now. And I suppose I was making it to please myself. So that's why I like it so much. But yeah, I would say this is an advanced class. And I did know it was advanced, but I kind of wish that I'd done the beginners bit first. This is just some examples of me trying and failing over and over again there on the left. And then just some of the stuff that we did in class there as well. And those are kind of inks that I've got that are a bit shiny, because I'm a bit of a crafty lady. So I've got loads of stuff in my house that I could just pull together to create something completely new. So yeah, and the actual process of doing it is the best part of it, because it is so absorbing. You can't really do anything else while you're concentrating like that, and it's really calming. So I highly recommend taking a class. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have the piece in front of you? Do you want to hold it up? Just love the experiment.
I immediately muted myself there. There we go, don't look too closely. Look, I signed it. I was so proud when I actually finished.
We're proud too.
I saw it through to the end.
Yes.
So yeah, and if I get it in a frame, you know, I think I'll have that in my house. I like it.
Yes, love it, love it.
Thank you.
I think my father is impressed with the fact that you went beyond just a line and a painting. You did the collage, and that makes it actually feel more crafty than just arty, which is very beautiful.
Mm. Yes. I think it just goes on to show that, like, once you have the tools and the techniques, you can really put your own style on it. And I think that was really wonderful to see. Like, you don't have to stick to the traditional patterns all the time, although they create such a great foundation for the work. But yeah, you can really put your personal flair to it. So thank you.
I should also add, I have a wrestler in my family. So there you go. It really made me laugh earlier on. I was like, oh, I have a wrestling relative too. So
well, maybe that's a prerequisite to be a junior. Oh, lovely. Yeah, there's some fantastic comments going on in the chat for your work too. So thank you. Anyone has any questions for Em? You can also unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah, I have a question. So how do we know which ones are up for sale or not?
If anyone is interested in selling, when you're sharing your work, just say it's available for sale. So I don't know, M, is it for sale?
Well, I think I really did make it to please myself, and I want to keep it. Commissions? I'll take commissions, but I would have a look at everybody else's work first before anyone makes any decisions.
Great, thank you. Sorry, Alexandra, not for sale yet, but you can give her a commission. Okay, all right, so next one, you guys can also ask more questions towards the end to the entire group, to Hamza's father, and then, yeah, you can save it for later as well. So the next one is Shrujana. Shrujana, are you there?
Since I'm showing the work, I see.
Was there a question there? All right.
Can we?
All right, Shrujana, are you ready?
Hey, sorry, I was on mute.
No problem.
Hey guys.
You are here.
Thank you for attending this exhibition, and it's been so great to see everyone's patterns, and I'm excited to see all the other patterns as well. For my pattern, I basically tried to like challenge myself. I wanted to do something where I didn't know what the output would look like. So I decided to combine two patterns. So the first one is what you see in the middle is the 8-fold rosette in the middle and on the sides, on the 4 corners. I combined it with the 4 hammers pattern, which you see the big blue shapes on the corners. That's a part of the 4 hammers pattern. It was an experiment. It didn't quite turn out like how I expected to. As you see, there's some like new shapes. Hamza's probably like, where did those shapes come from? But I had a really good time like experimenting, and this is just the first draft. So I'll probably like play around and see if I can work it out. But yeah, that's my process. And basically for scale, you can see it's hanging on my wall right now.
So great. And your wall has more patterns we can see.
Yeah, there's no more space now for all the new work.
So Shrujana has, how many sessions have you attended, Shrujana, so far?
2. I did the foundation one, the 5 series one, and then this advanced course. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you, Hamza, for like, sharing your gift with us. And I think with this course, like you went really deep, and you actually like showed us the streets of Fez and, the buildings and the, monuments that these patterns were from, which I really, really enjoyed.
So Hamza is translating for his father.
Somebody's going to be paying me for all my translations. My father is saying very, 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 very good efforts. I am myself very much impressed, as my father is, with the fact that you combine 2 patterns that perhaps they never met. Because I know the one you did in the middle. I've never seen it touching the 4 hammers, which is quite challenging. However, what you did is exactly what happened in the past. All these patterns, they are not mentioned in any religious book. They didn't come from the divine. They are man-made. So you just made a new one, which is just excellent. And all those new shapes, you can give them a name now.
Ooh, I'm excited for that. That was the fun part, like learning about the names of the shapes. So maybe I'll invent something.
I'm 100% sure those shapes that look very unfamiliar to you, in accordance with the classes we did, I'm sure inside them, they might, if you extend some lines, you might actually end up with a loser or something.
Yeah, I think that's what I want to do next, is try multiple iterations, because I did this like in 24 hours. Like I started on Friday. So I want to like spend more time to see if I can actually like get the shapes that we've already, gone through in the classes.
Right, yeah, I'm looking forward to the names you put on them. And share that with us, please.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. There's a question for you, Shrujana. What colors did you use?
Oh, I used watercolors.
Great.
Yeah, and actually like the paper is really textured, so I was really worried that my black pen was gonna like give up on me, but thankfully it made it through.
Your choice of colors is excellent. I think it's your signature palette now.
Yeah, I know. This is actually one of my favorite palettes from, yeah, I have that in a couple of patterns.
Thank you, thank you. All right, now the next participant is actually not here during the session because he is in Tasmania in Australia. So during this entire series, we've had participants from all around the world, people from France to Australia to South Africa in the past, to of course North America. And Peter is in Tasmania, and he would basically get a recording of the session after the series was over, and he would follow along with the videos. And then we all have like a private Facebook group to share and discuss and ask questions during the week. So, so yeah, he literally followed it through video. So really incredible work that he was able to do despite not being there for live sessions. So I'm gonna pull up his work, and probably one of the participants from the series, if they could step up and maybe talk about his work. Anyone who wants to volunteer and talk about his pattern?
I can, Gitika. I think I can.
Yes.
Hello?
Go for it.
Okay, so this is Peter's work, and this is the 4-hammer pattern tessellated, and he did something really interesting. When we were learning the 4 hammers, these pink interstitial spaces are the hammers, and they either face inward to the Seal of Solomon, or you can make them face outward. And in his tessellation, he alternated that. He did the inward hammer, then the outward hammer, which is, you know, you probably have to reverse your brain to do that every alternate step. And so that's quite a challenge. And then he added a further challenge by channeling these, and he just did a brilliant, beautiful job with the T's and the J's that you're seeing here around the Seal of Solomon. So yeah, great job.
And the channels.
Yeah, and the channels. Yeah, exactly. The channeling is amazing.
And this is the second pattern. Do you want to speak to that, Jyotika?
Yeah, so he was experimenting with color here. He was trying to show that the inward hammers, so you can see this hammer is inward, the brown ones, and the light yellow ones are facing outward. And then in the previous one, which is his final pattern, he decided that he will keep the color the same, so it doesn't create so much contrast. And instead he added channeling to the previous one to add to the complexity. So this was his test, yes. So here he kept the hammers the same color.
And this is the underlying geometry.
Yeah. Yes.
Is anyone going blind looking at this?
Yeah, so one of the things, and I think someone said this on our group, that, and it was a question that I had asked, whether we like to keep the pencil lines or erase them. And someone mentioned that the complexity of the pattern, I think
the leftover cream is on
that. Someone, could you mute yourself, please? I think we can hear you.
Can I continue?
Yes, please.
That the beauty, that sometimes the final patterns are so simple, but the underlying work is so complex. And that is
and it's not enough chickens.
Thank you. Thank you, Jyotika, for walking us through the pattern. Hamza, do you have any comments?
Right, yeah. Well, my father says it's impressive work, and he likes the fact that it is finished on the margins. For the audience, the original pattern looks like this. So normally you get the long Seal of Solomon, And I like that Peter didn't want to create that one, which again puts him in this situation of him creating something very new, which expresses his own thoughts and feelings, which is very impressive, I have to say. Traditions are there to break sometimes. Yes. Yeah, my father says is excellent, although it doesn't look like the original one. Just like I think what anybody else wanted to do. At the end, when you do your own drawing, you're actually putting your own touch to it. But Peter made it very obvious, of course, which is very good.
Yes, thank you. Great. All right. I don't see any questions in chat for him, so I'll keep moving. The next one actually is you, Jyotika. So are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right. Let's go for it. So I will first let you talk about the title of your artwork.
Yes, so autumn, it's called Autumnal Sunshine, and autumn is one of my favorite seasons. And being in lockdown in Mumbai, which is really, really strict and has been really extended, has made me yearn for obviously autumn in other parts of the world, which is where the seasons are changing. And so in a way, echoing everyone's thought, this class was it was a godsend to work on and engage my mind doing things, but I wanted to reflect something through colors and sunlight and the movement of sunlight, etc. That made me feel this yearning, and yet it compensated for that yearning. And there's a beautiful saying by a quote by Nathaniel Hawthorne: "I cannot endure to waste anything so precious as autumnal sunshine by staying in the house." And that just echoed really loudly for me.
All right. Of course, the pattern is stuck in autumn, so hold on one second. And that's the autumn.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, that is, it's actually made up of 9 spiderweb patterns called Ankabutiyas. That was the last pattern we learned in the class. Actually, we learned a version of that in the class. And yeah, so it was really fun to figure this out and just play with the colors. These are all my favorite colors, and I love the way colors flow. That's something I explore always, so yes.
So gorgeous. Just love, love, love the coloring. And I can see it's right behind you on the walls for anyone who wants to see the scale of the work.
Yeah, it's on, yeah, 3 feet by 2 feet paper, but I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job with that.
Yeah, we can see. It's a big one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And this is the rest of the work from the class. I don't know if you can see it.
Beautiful. And this is available for sale, right?
It is, but I'll have to figure out how to get it to you guys. So because we were auctioning things, so I just put up a price to it. Yes.
Yeah. So if anyone is interested in getting this piece, just put it in chat or send me a private chat message if you're interested, and we'll connect you with Jyotika so you guys can discuss more. But let's look at the comments.
My father likes to buy it. No, just joking. No, he's saying it's one. He said keep working, do the same thing, take it to the next level. It looks marvelous. It looks like a wall fountain. I actually have one in the loo. It looks exactly the same, which is very, very well. I'm very much impressed. I only taught them how to do one, and it was only part of a homework. It wasn't even a proper class. But you did very, very well. I'm very much impressed. And thank you very much for sharing that.
Looks like people want to bid on it in the chat. So let's start the bidding. Who wants to go first? That will be fun. We've never done that before. It's going to be our first time. Alexandra, since you said it, do you want to start the bid war? And then Mitch, you can join in.
Well, I don't want to start a war, but Jyotika probably has a starting price in mind, and we should start from there, maybe.
I just put a price out there. I'm not really sure what it should be, but I put $250 as the price. But I'm okay if someone wants whatever. I just have to figure out how to get it to you. That's all. My friend Karan, who is here, he told me this evening, he's like, don't fuss, you know, it's easy to courier things. So.
That's right. Well, as someone said, all right, 300. Okay, I'll let this go on in the chat as we move to the next one. This is fun. Okay, well, thank you so much, Jyotika. As you can see, you've started this auction here, right here. Thank you. Next one is Sarah. Sarah, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. So Sarah is in Washington, D.C., and she has 2 patterns to share today.
Sure. So hi, everybody. Thank you to Hamza for taking the time to share a little bit of his art and life in Fez with us as well. So I didn't have time to do anything special for the exhibition. So I think these are homework assignments from the class or things that we did in the class. So the first one is, I think, one that we've done from one of the classes. And this one was the first time I ever channeled any design. And so that channeling had been kind of a challenge throughout the course. And so this is the first one where I was actually able to do it successfully. And I like how it turned out. Hamza is also telling us to look at the different shapes that a pattern can present. And with this one, I really liked the arrows. It kind of reminded me of like a compass. So I wanted, instead of just doing 4 arrows, I wanted 8. So I had those, and then I liked the half seals of Solomon or the quarter seals of Solomon that came out at the edges. So I wanted to bring those out as well. And then for the next one, this one I think is one that we did in class where the designs, I think the name for them translated to like the scissors. And to me, they looked less like scissors and more like guitar. And Hamza's always telling us to look at the geometry and the things around us, even if it's, you know, fruits in nature or, you know, just different objects. And so with this one, that's what it reminded me of. So when I was coloring it in, decided to do that. And then I kind of liked the effect of some of the, with this one with the colored pencils, you can sort of see some of the working circles that were underneath. So I liked how some of those quarter circles around the mini seal of Solomon in the middle turned out. So these are just a couple pieces from class.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Yeah, someone said they love the guitars that you put there.
My father is saying that he's very impressed with the fact that you added something which never was visibly part of the pattern, which is the, for example, the instrument. And so much of perhaps one's personality reveals itself in the results of the drawing. And I can tell from everyone's work that there is something in the choice of color and the shapes, the straightness of the line, anything else. It tells something about each one. And I think there is so much thorough in the pattern, and I just love it.
Thanks so much, Shukran.
Great. Well, I think there's a question in the chat, and I'm not sure if it's for you, Sarah or Jyotika. What's the color material that was used? Lian, was it for Sarah or Jyotika? Or both of you can say. I think, Sarah, yours are pencil colors?
Yeah, for me, it was just regular Crayola colored pencils. The hope is to eventually be able to spend more time and do it on a nicer watercolor paper and maybe try it with watercolor or some acrylic on a piece of wood or something. But for now, everything has just been straight colored pencils.
And Jyotika, yours?
I used calligraphic inks because they have a kind of luminance to them. So yeah, and with a paintbrush.
Thank you, thank you. Well, this was again wonderful, as Hamza said. All right, we have our next and final participant. I can see Hamza and his father discussing who's going to be the winner, even though all of you are winners. And the last participant who is sharing the word today is Anuja. Are you ready, Anuja?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Okay.
Anuja is in New York and ready.
I am ready. So I think I have a similar story with like everybody else. I started with a different pattern first, and then it didn't work out. So then I jumped to something else. But I'm going to talk more about the pattern today because I want to share that. But this is my second session. So I did the foundation like Shrujana did, and a couple of other people on this group. So it was really good in having both these patterns, and I tried to see if I could combine the two, not as experimental as Shrujana, but I was trying to do something for my wall. So what you see here is not one big pattern, there are two patterns, like two, because I was trying to make something for the wall behind me. And my original idea was to do 3. I got to the third one, but it didn't work out. So I still have to do a third one. It happened. And the idea was that the construction is the same behind it. So I wanted to use the same construction, but different patterns. And I wanted to do the same thing for all 3. So all of that construction is similar. And the one on the left was not something we did in class, but I saw it on Hamza's Instagram. And then on Facebook group, and he said, who will try this? And I said, challenge accepted, I'm gonna do it. I also saw it was easier, so otherwise probably wouldn't have accepted it. And then the one on the right was something we did in class, but I didn't do the channeling when we did in class, so I just tried the same thing. And then at some point after this exhibition, I will do that third piece with third construction and a different pattern.
Thank you. And I think, Anuja, can you explain what you mean by you saw the pattern and then took the challenge and deconstructed? Like, how does it work in the mind?
So that's actually the funnest part for me about geometric patterns, is to deconstruct how it's done. So when I saw this pattern on Hamza's Instagram, I knew that the colors, like I just love the mosaic colors and everything. And then he said, who's going to do this? And my thought was, oh, let me see if I can deconstruct how it's made. And then based on the number of patterns we have done, I took inspiration from Shrujana and put all of them on the wall so I could like see all of them. And I was like, oh, what's the other pattern that gets closest? And then once I figured out that they were just circles in horizontal and vertical and then diagonal, it's like, oh, okay, I see what this is. So it's like deconstructing what the construction is it's like very rewarding. It's like, oh, I can deconstruct it like Hamza would. I probably can't. I could deconstruct one. I'm happy with that.
It's beautiful. I think like that's the thing, is for people who are not familiar with Moroccan geometry. I mean, this is, as you guys can see, there's so much construction underneath, and what you see is not the construction. So it takes a while to figure it out, and that's the joy in it. So thank you for sharing that, Anuja. Do you have those pieces with you? Can you hold them up and so we can see how big they are?
They're not too big. They're like 11 by 14.
These look gorgeous.
Pieces. And then I plan on framing them and putting up on that back wall that you see behind me.
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Oops. Well, very well. Very good, Anuja. That looks very fantastic. One of the things we did in the class is we tried to see how we can deconstruct a pattern just by looking at it. Normally, my method is I keep looking at it, gazing at it for like weeks until it speaks to me and it tells me, here you go. This is how you can do it. Because sometimes one of the things we need to see when we do deconstruct is look at the shapes that we can construct and the shapes that happen to be a result of the construction. And I think what you've done, Anuja, it's just brilliant. We didn't do that one. It was just a simple challenge I like to give. And one of the things that you brought up now, Anuja, is that sometimes with one construction, you can get up to more than 5 patterns from the same construction. And I think this one is very much closer to the 4 hammers in a way or another in the general structure. So again, my father likes it and I do like it. It's very good.
Thank you.
Great. Anuja, anything else you'd like to add to that? Anyone has questions for Anuja? All right. I guess everyone's holding their questions. Any questions about the class? I think there's a question from Karen. If we take the session, are there recommended media and substrates, or are we free to use whatever as some of these artists did? Hamza, I'll let you.
Do you want me to answer that? Well, I am myself, I have nothing to do with paints and color pencils and watercolors and anything like that. All I do is I use a compass and a ruler, I construct them, and I do engrave and emboss them on brass or leather. And so it is going to be your own liberty to choose how you want to finish it. All I promise to give you is a construction and a pattern, no more than no less. Yeah, the rest is up to you.
That's right. So good. Well, I'm gonna open it up really quickly for 1 or 2 questions from anyone in the audience. If you have questions for any of the participants while Hamza and his father figure out who's gonna be the winner for today's competition. But yeah, do you guys have any questions?
Did we ever find out what Jyotika used for her colors? Because I think she used brush markers at one time, or I think she was one of the people who used brush markers.
I think Purva used the brush markers, the watercolor brush markers, and I used calligraphic ink with a paintbrush.
With a paintbrush?
Yeah, with a paintbrush.
Wow. Kudos.
Thanks.
There's a question from Michelle. If we decide to take these series, is there a style of pattern we can choose a style from? Yes, I can actually answer that. So what you're learning in each of these series are the different techniques and different patterns on how to draw those, and then you can tessellate them or create more patterns based on those techniques according to whatever style you choose. As you can see what people did. They all learned the same patterns during the session, and then they combined them in different ways or tessellated them in different ways. Will Hamza be giving more sessions next year? For sure, next year, but also he's starting 2 new series next weekend. So I think we'll put those links again in chat if you guys missed them earlier. So keep an eye on the chat. But yeah, please keep the questions coming. We will switch to Hamza and his father pretty soon so they can tell us a little bit more about who the winner is for today. But if you guys want to quickly see what this group looks like during the sessions, it's these are the guys. This is from one of the sessions, sharing the work that they did during those 2 hours. So these are just some of the participants. You saw some of them, and some of them are hiding behind the work itself in the photograph. But it's a really fun group. I feel like we have a little geometry family from around the world. Any other questions for anyone? To any of the participants? All right, I think we are ready to hear who the winner is. And again, like we said, the winner, everyone is a winner. The idea of this competition was just to throw in a challenge and see who who really pushed the challenge further. The winner will be given a certificate signed by Hamza's father. So that's the award that you guys can frame or do whatever with. And then we'll also stick around after that for a little live oud performance by Hamza. So Hamza, are you and Dad ready?
Just give me 1 minute. We're just still discussing how much sugar we should put onto your.
Of course.
Okay. Give me just half a minute. Half a minute.
Yes. While they're still discussing, any participant want to share a fun story from one of the sessions? Just unmute yourself.
Yeah, I can share something. I think that it's been really cool to have the Facebook group as part of the sessions because, you know, everyone has their, like Hamza said, everyone is bringing their own perspectives to the pattern, and we all start with the same foundation, but then take it very different places. And so it's been cool to see, to have the community and to see, you know, what everyone does, and then to get tips and feedback from people along the way as we're all trying to, you know, learn this together. So that's been greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Yep, totally agree. Well, Leanne, yes, can we see all the works again? Of course, there's time. Let me pull up and that way we can all refresh all the patterns that we saw. I'll start from the top. Give me 1 second. All right, so this is Purva's pattern. A little close-up of that. Then we have Mitch. A little close-up of this. Maya. And those were all the patterns. It's so amazing to see. I wish I could see them up all on a big wall. Sure. Yeah.
أكثر من المجهود اللي داروا كلهم داروا واحد المجهود وسيرتي عندي تجربة في
I'm going to translate.
سيرتي عندي تجربة في هادشي ديال التحكيم لأن أولا حكمت 12 المباراة ديال الأمهار الثانية حكمت في صناعة بلادي دائما اللعبة واخا يكون فيها شحال ما كان تيمكننا نعزلو جوج ثلاثة.
Right, so okay, it's going to be a long introduction before we say the last name or the first name. Right, so my father is saying he's wishing everybody good luck and he's asking each one of you to do more because you've already shown that you've already done more. You could do more plus more. He's been telling me that he has, there was a TV show for the best craftsman that we had it in Morocco for about some 12 years. And my father was one of the jurors, and he, in all those competitions, they were told that they have to pick just one, but he said they always picked 3, because each participant would be offering something very different from the other one. صحيح، قلت لهم بلي يختاروا 3.
لأن اللعبة دائما هي لازم يبان الأول والثاني والثالث، بحال الرياضة بحال.
He's saying just like wrestling, you have to have the first, second, and third. نشرح لهم هذا ولا انت شي حاجة؟
لا، بس كلهم داروا واحد المجهود، كلهم دايرين واحد المجهود، ولكن باش كلهم تقريبا راهم بحال.
Right, he's saying everybody is the same, equal. You know, this is vision parties, this is politics.
وكان زلنا اللي ركز شي شوية على حسب التركيز.
Right, perfect. So, anyways, in the eyes of my father, you're all winners. However, the choice is going to be based on 3 criteria. First, we'll just name them 1, 2, 3. So, first criteria is has to do with not to say that these criteria are in the right order, but I'm just explaining there are 3 criteria. First criteria is for those who picked a pattern from the live session and did something marvelous out of it, right? Number 2, for those who took something from the homework and did something marvelous out of it. And 3, for those who picked something from a challenge I gave, which was just a random photo on Facebook, and they decided to deconstruct it and make something marvelous out of it. All right. So, and I assume that everybody did the same thing. However, so I'm going to start with number 3, 2, and then 1. So number 3 is all right, Gitika, with you? Is all right if we do 3?
Yes.
So number 3 is Sarah for the wonderful guitar pattern. And my father thought it was very marvelous to actually imagine a guitar inside the scissor shape, which he thought it was marvelous. So congratulations, Sarah, for the wonderful. And Sarah fits in the category of doing a pattern from the live session, right? So very good, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Sarah.
Right, number 2, which fits in the category of taking a challenge from a photo, which is Anuja for the Seed of Solomon tessellation that you did from the fountain here in Fes. So very well, Anuja. My father loved it very much. He thought it was very brilliant to actually look at something and then pick it from the eye. So very, very well, Anuja.
Thank you.
And the first one fits in the category of number 2, which is the homework, taking a homework. And normally what I have to say about homework is I don't really say that much about them. I only show you a different option. Anyways, so number 1 who fits in this category is, I have to pronounce this correctly.
Drum roll.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Is Giotica with the spider web. Very well done. I think some of you could perhaps guess that one. Yeah, very good to Giotica. That was very marvelously done. It's grand, and my father took into consideration as well as the the effort, because each line, each circle, each division means more time. I know some of you might have a certain speed. Some might finish it in 24 hours. Some might need 2 weeks. It's really normal. It depends on the person. However, we think that number 1 goes to Giotica. So 1 Giotica, 2 Anuja, and then 3 is Sarah. The rest is always going to be the first in the winners. But the rule of the game is always the rule of the game. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So wonderful. I'm going to show the winner's work again, everyone, just so you guys can look at it one more time. I'm going to start with number 3. This is number 3. And I think Hamza was referring to this pattern with the guitars. So this is number 3. Congratulations, Sarah. All right, number 2 is Anuja. Woohoo! So she took the pattern, the challenge, and constructed her own. And number 1, the winner is Jyotika, and that's this. Autumn 1. We are in autumn, and autumn 1. There we go. All right. Congratulations, everybody. Really just incredible work from everyone.
My father is going to go now. He needs to pray. So he's saying thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay, in the chat, someone said, we wish we could have an audience choice. Why not? Do you guys want to put your votes in the chat? Like just put one name you thought was the winner for you. All right, we have some voting going on in the chat. So go for it. And if you want to add why you loved it, mention that as well. It's great.
Oh, Geetika.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Before my father leaves, do you think we could take a group photo?
Yes, please. Let's do a group photo. Everyone, if you guys are okay with it, do you mind turning on your videos so we can all see you guys instead of these random Zoom grid? Would be lovely. Anyone? Yeah, please turn on your cameras and then we'll take a Zoom. Adi, can you help me take a screenshot?
Please show off your work.
Yeah, show off your work. All right. Yes, Nile, show your work too. And then we have some other participants who are part of the series as well, but we're not part of this competition. They're holding their work up as well in the grid if you guys want to have a quick peek. It's lovely. I think we took a few photos, so thank you, everyone. Keep putting your votes in the chat, and if you have any questions, put them in chat as well, or just unmute yourself. It's open time now, and Hamza, feel free to join in. Anybody join in, it's open for everyone. Comments, we're all welcoming all of that. It's open. All right, I think people are busy writing in chat, can't choose. Well, like I said, thank you so much, Hamza, and thank you to every participant. Like, it takes courage to participate in a competition. So just the fact that you submitted is a big thing. And of course, like with you guys, I had a lot of fun. Hamza had a lot of fun. We all had a lot of fun. So we hope.
It's raining here.
Hamza, were you saying something?
Sorry, it's raining. I hope I don't get wet.
Oops. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's it. Should we listen to a little bit of oud if no one has any questions? I know time is up, so if anyone has to leave, feel free to leave, but we might listen to some music to wrap up. But this was really incredible, and we hope some of you will join us for the future series. You'll get a link to that in email as well. And yeah, I'm just loving all these comments flowing in chat for everyone's personal votes. Audience choice was a great idea. All right, I think Hamza's just getting ready with his oud, so let's listen to some music.
I'm looking for the pick. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we take the last questions, perhaps?
Yeah, any last questions from everyone? Now we're just hanging out for a couple minutes. So
good to see you again, Richard.
Hamza, have you already given us a preview of what you're going to do in the next class? I think you did.
I can show you.
Okay.
All right. Right, so let's do the other camera. So these have been the ones we've been doing. All right, so for the beginners class, we're going to begin with the fig leaf pattern. And then we'll move on to the Arba'fi pattern. And then we'll do the one in the Madrasa Bonania. It's a 12-fold. So this is basically an 8-fold, but it doesn't really show. This is 8 and this one is 12. For the advanced class, we're going to start doing this one, which is an 8-fold with a very special shape here. And then we go on to this one, which is a 12-fold, and it gives us an 8-pointed shape in the middle. And then we'll do this one, which will extend to this one here. Right, so all these are, for me, very easy for those who've already done patterns with me. Personally, the only difference between these ones and the ones we did before is that they take longer time and they have a little bit of tricky details. And I think that those who did the workshops with me would quickly understand those tricks. And that would actually make it very easy. And it's also going to be a reminder for you that, a reminder of how to deconstruct it. Because so the thing is, if we look at one pattern, I'm trying to find the best spot without having bright light in my face. If we think that pattern number 1 has 3 steps, 1, 2, and 3, and pattern number 2 has 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. What I'm trying to say is, you could learn how to do pattern number 3 by just combining step number 2 and step number 3 and 4 from 2 patterns. And so that's the whole idea. Because I know Mitch asked me how he can deconstruct the pattern he submitted for the composition. And I told him that part of it is going to be part of the pattern we'll be doing. And so again, this series will be teaching you this little trick now, is how you combine different steps from different patterns to come up with one pattern. That means every time you construct a pattern, you should not forget about it. You're going to take one element of it and help you build another pattern. So everything is kind of related among all the patterns. Yeah, so that's it.
All right. Thank you, Hamza, for a little preview. These details are also on the website, VAWAA.com online, so you can look at the details for the new series with photographs of all the patterns in the details there. But we are gonna wrap up now. It was so wonderful having all of you join us, the session, the participants, but also our new friends. So hope you enjoyed it. Do let us know. You'll get an email after this. Do let us know if you enjoyed it, if you what you think of Moroccan geometry, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone. And all the winners, you'll get your certificate soon.
It was wonderful. Thank you, Hamza. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
you
you.
together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hamza.